All right, we're here for our final match of the evening here, week 3. Feature matches for Wilds of Eldraine League. We got a new player here, or I mean he's in the second league, but first feature match appearance for Jack, and he's immediately taking a mulligan with what looks to be a Sultai deck, and he's up against Mitch, who we're familiar with here. He's broadcast with me many times. He usually plays in at least one feature match a league, and very active on our server. So I did not quite check the standings about what Mitch's record was, but don't know how he's doing. But it looks like he's got a Gruul deck. Or at least green and red mana. What's in his hand there?
Mitch is clocked in at 6-3 so far.
Okay,
And looks
not
like we have
bad.
some Jun going on with the 3-land seal on field, 1 swamp in hand. The Daredevil, the Bruiser, Vanguard, and a Tandem Takedown. So the hand's a little expensive, but there's a lot of adventuring going on. So there's multiple ways he can attack this board.
Yeah.
What's going on with Jack?
Yeah. So Jack's also he started off 4-1 and he's up to 7-2. So this week. So he's got a Sultai deck. We saw a Talion in his first 7, which had no lands. So now he's got this Prodigy here. He's got a Bitter Chill, which is that tapping enchantment. Obviously, not something you'd want to put on a catapult ever. He's got Swamps and Islands, and then he's got a green card that he can't cast yet in the Fawnsbane Troll. So that's a real good one. He's going to dig for cards here. So he's found more cards he can cast. No green mana yet, but he's drawn a Stopgap and a Mocking Sprite. So let's see how.
Stopgap, remind me, what is that again?
It's the bounce spell with Bargain. Johann's Stopgap.
Okay.
So unfortunately, this Unruly Catapult blocks every version of the Ingenious Prodigy, no matter its size. So if you want to find an answer to not take damage from that card, play a 0.
Yeah, Jack's got great options here. I mean, he still has the Tandem Takedown, the Bruiser, and Spider Food that he drew last turn.
Okay.
So if he wanted to, he could just shoot the 2-1 down now. If I'm correct, there's no artifact or enchantments. The Prodigy is just a creature.
It's a fairy. All right, looks like he's just gonna play a 4/4. He said, "Let's get attacking." He said, "I'll trade the 4/2 for your 2/1 flyer," and Jack's gonna absolutely take him up on that offer. Yeah, he has to keep digging here. Okay, so he's got at least something to do this turn. He has a Sweet Tooth Witch.
I'm assuming still no green mana though, sadly.
So he's trying an Edgewall in here. So that'll do that. All right. So he said, "I'm going to do this. I'll just tap down this 4/4." I'm still at 15. I mean, he's taking 1 a turn, but he's got a Sweet Tooth Witch in his hand that can get him a food. Looks like he's not under immense pressure yet. We'll see if Mitch can start putting the pressure here, because Jack's pretty well positioned to go into the later turns here.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, well, okay. We're going to use the Vanguard to get rid of the Bitter Chill. He was thinking of using the Spider Food to do it also, but I mean, this is also excellent use of it.
Jack gets a card off of this, so that's pretty good, and he bought him the land. Unfortunately, he found another land, but pretty decent. Porridge, I guess you can just the Porridge will actually probably kill the Sweet Tooth Witch when it comes down. This Prodigy basically has no text anymore, so you don't need to kill that.
Pretty much a wall.
I mean, it drew what? It drew 2 cards, right?
Yeah, so my question is does he go for the Fawns? Yes, he does.
I think he said, this catapult is annoying me. Can I please kill it?
I'm curious if he goes for the catapult or the 4/4.
Well, you could do both. You could kill the catapult, and then you could block the 4/4.
I was curious if he might kill the 4/4 and then, I guess, try and get aggressive.
I don't think he needs to. You just kill the. I mean, it's a trade, right? The troll fights as a 4/4, not as a 5/5.
So the question is what is the Spaghetti Man going to do this turn? He drew an Invasion of Mercadia, so it seems he's going some Mom Packs also.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure he really wants to get rid of anything from his hand, but
so
he
he has the
might toss
graceful
it down.
takedown. I think you said.
Tandem takedown from Mom.
Oh, tandem
I'm
takedown. The
assuming,
one green green. Yeah.
yeah, Spider Food's a discard, and then we draw into a Witch Stalker and a Timberland Ancient.
Is that the Witch
So,
Stalker Frenzy?
yes.
Okay.
No, the Territorial Witch Stalker.
Oh, the
The
2/3.
2 mana. Yeah. I mean, granted, it does attack with the Bruiser and
Yeah.
with the Vanguard.
I mean,
I mean, the Ancient.
it's a curve filler. I assume it's something he wants out of his deck at some point, but for now,
Yeah.
it serves a purpose. I'm kind of actually like annoyed by that design. Um, we had back in M21, I think it was called Drowsing Pteranodon, which is a 2 mana 3/3 with basically the same text.
Oh, this. I love this play by Mitch.
Yeah, I want to kill the battle anyway. Yeah, so tandem takedown. So a lot of these deal damage spells in Mom just targeted battles as well. So burn spells or um, green had green had that at uncommon and a common that also I think was Cosmic Hunger that also dealt with battles. So I think he's gonna reset this here. He says try it again. I'm gonna draw a card here.
I mean, I guess this kind of works a little towards Mitch's side because you really don't want the Territorial Witch Stalker anyway. So it's like
Yeah,
free fodder for 2 mana.
yeah.
He drew into a Werefox, but I mean, he still has the Porridge to tap down the 3/2 if he kind of wants to buy a bit of time
But
here.
he can kill the 3/2.
That's also something he can do.
So the problem with Jack's hand here is that it's just all lands.
That's we'll see if Mitch keys in on that. He did just draw Brave the Wilds. So I think the question is what route does he want to take? I'm pretty sure he definitely wants to dig for a land.
Yeah, well, he wants to cast a 6 drop at some point. That's going to take over the
Yeah.
game. So of note, Jack does have something to do with his mana potentially in the land there. The Restless, I believe it's Vinestock.
Oh, that's 5/5. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so interesting text is that it can turn something into a 3/3 when it attacks. And
Oh,
I did not realize this. You can actually target your opponent's creature. So if they have a big creature, you can actually shrink it. It's not
now
creature
that's
you
interesting.
control.
So I
Yeah.
mean, with the land animating, I would assume the play here is to drop the Vanguard and hope your opponent doesn't have a way to remove it.
Yeah, so, well, Jack doesn't. His draw for the turn was the Splashy Spellcaster, which is that 4 mana 2/4. It's the uncommon.
You gotta admit, the name
You
is
can put
wonderful.
you can put sorcerer rolls on creatures when you cast instants and sorceries. It's fine. Splashy Spellcaster. The card's not very splashy though. It's just kind of boring.
You're not wrong. It's interesting that it's a 2/4, but I guess it's because the roles that it provides for the rest of your creatures.
But it can't even put a roll on itself.
Oh, does it have the text other?
Yeah, so it lives in this weird space where you want to have spells, but you also want like a reasonably wide board so that the trigger actually does something every time.
That's fair.
So it lives in a world where it's hard to make use of because the spells deck doesn't want to go wide, and the go wide deck doesn't care that much about casting spells to put sorcerer rolls. He's drawn another land here, so this might this might spell the end here with this 6/7 just sitting there, unable to do anything about it.
There is a
Unfortunate.
world where he leaves on defense. With 4 cards in hand, I mean, after playing the splashy spellcaster, Mitch might play it a little safer.
I mean, the backside of that invasion just does some nasty stuff.
Oh, that it does. What is it? A pump to the board? Make 2/1/1s with haste?
No, I believe it's make 2/1/1s and then everything gets +1 and +0 in haste, and the tokens don't go away. It's basically if you remember the card from Core Set from several years ago, heroic reinforcements.
Oh, yes.
It's basically that on a staple to a creature. It's basically make 2/1/1s and then everything gets +1/+0 and haste, including anything else you've cast.
So Mitch looks like he definitely wants to get in here.
Well, yeah, it's a 6/7.
Yeah. Jack's just going to say, hey, we're just going to take it. Now, is he going to drop the Ancient or is he going to drop the Skewer that he just drew? He's got multiple ways to do this turn.
Does the land? I can't remember if the land costs 5 or 4 to animate.
That I'm not sure. Also,
Mm,
I would
I
think
think it
Jack
was
left enough.
5. I think it was 5, but I'm not 100% certain.
It might have been 5. I'm surprised Mitch didn't go for the line of destroying the 3/2, then animating it with Brave the Wilds.
Yeah, and Jack can't really double block anyway. The 6/7 because of the porridge. So even if he could activate his land, would probably not have been great there. He does have an edge wall in. I don't believe he has any adventure creatures to grab with it.
Yeah, sadly not currently that I've seen.
I don't think he played any this game. So an unfortunate run out here. It's just playing big stuff. Have not seen too much black cards. I assume that's going to be his splash based on what we've seen in this game.
For Jack or for Mitch?
For
I mean,
for
it could be
Mitch,
both, right?
we didn't see too much black. No, it looks like green is looking to be the splash here. Yeah. So so Jack's green splash is for Fawnsbane Troll. He's playing Greta. He's playing he's kind of just all three. I mean, he's playing Root Rider Fawn, but only has 3 forests in his deck, so it's not going to come out on turn 2 very often. So he has he has 5 copies of Johann's Stopgap, the bounce spell draw card. So I mean, it looks like he's taking out one here. I could very understandable.
Very tempo based, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Mitch
so he has
currently
about 5 or
is
6.
looking.
He's playing about 5 or 6 green cards. Is
Mitch is looking at the Red Virtue and the Fury Emancipation.
uh-huh.
Getting spicy with it. He's, as you said, though, he's base red green
Yeah,
splashing
like
for Glissa from Mom. He's got a Doomscar also. I mean, there's some pretty powerful cards in here.
So
He's-
I almost got the Virtue of Courage to go off on day 1 of the Open. I had it with Impact Tremors.
Is that the green one?
No, that's the red one. So
Listen, I've never known it was called.
whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage, you exile that many cards from the top of your library and you control them this turn. So with Impact Tremors, it's basically 1 card per creature.
I mean, listen, if you just call it the Horse Virtue, I would know exactly what you're talking about. Just saying.
Opponent scoop before I got to really go off with that on day 1 of the Open, but it was there. They were both in play, and it's about to draw some cards.
Doesn't sound like a bad time to scoop to me. If my opponent's impulse drawing a bunch, I'm out.
So we got a 1-lander here. Pretty unfortunate for Jack. Has what looks like it's going to be a bit of a wonky hand here, but he does have a Scarecrow Guide to shore up his mana. He has only 2 islands for his lands, but he'll be able to cast Root Rider Fawn on turn 3 if the Scarecrow Guide survives. What's Mitch got over there?
It's an extremely slow hand. So all we have is Porridge on 2, Catapult on 3, and then a bunch of Adventure. As you see, the Vanguard.
So
that was good.
So
granted, Jack just
if
bailed.
Jack did not draw a forest, I would have said that would have been an absolute disaster, potentially game losing play for Jack to not have that. So it will be a bit slow for him still. I could see him just casting. He could either leave up his Spellsworn Coven, the fairy that makes your opponent discard a card when it comes in, and has the adventure of just basically you remand, bounce a spell.
Interesting. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's essentially remand, and the card you draw is always a 2/3 flyer that makes your opponent discard a card. It's essentially what it amounts
if
to.
Mitch can draw into red mana, he can slap the Decadent Dragon down.
Oh, okay.
And then
that's
he also has Doomscar on 4. But granted, he has
what's the Doomscar?
one more forest in hand.
Is that the rare from Mom?
Yeah, 4/4 with backup. When the creature with backup does damage, you dig X amount of cards.
Yeah, and you could reveal a creature or something.
And Mitch is just on the mountain, so we'll see if he wants to go for the Doomscar or for the Decadent Dragon.
So Jack has decided to, instead of playing Johann's Stopgap or leaving up that Spellsworn Coven that makes your opponent bounce a spell, instead to just get back his Scarecrow Guide. So just a really, really slow sort of play there. I think in his spot I might have just held up that take it back, the adventure side of the Coven. just so I don't fall too far behind. I mean, he has a stopgap here, but I mean, a stopgap is basically what it is, right? It's preventing it for one turn.
Yeah, it's buying
It
time.
describes itself. It's like I don't have that much confidence in a card that calls itself a stopgap.
Well,
It just means
now
that like it's an
interesting
interesting
enough,
cursive name.
Mitch looks like he wants to recast the dragon, but he could cast the bruiser to get him for 4 damage here.
I mean, he is a face damage type of guy, but he says,
Yes, normally he says, how much damage can I get in efficiently, right?
"Let
But
me
this
play
might
my
be the more
dragon."
efficient way.
And so he's done a swamp here, which opens up his hand a bit. He now has access to Taken by Nightmares, the double black card. He may just basically have to fire that off. Yeah, his
Interesting.
hand is just
So
awkward here. So he had a few options. He could have gone like Prophetic Prism and then sacked it to the Diminisher Witch to put a cursed roll on the dragon. Like there was a few lines he could have taken. Could have replayed the Scarecrow Guide and just left up the Spellborn Coven, Spellscorn, whatever. too
I
many,
mean, I
too
do
too
like
many, too many made up words here for me.
I like this play by Mitch. Leave the 4/4, see what your opponent has. He left his mana open. If you deal with the 4/4, then I just get to cast my 6/7 pretty much, and then I have to deal with this.
Yeah, so this is going to be a bit of a rough one. However,
Yeah.
we see the Diminisher Witch, which can basically make it a 1/1. So we can. So he's keeping afloat here, and his life total is still high. So despite sort of the wonky start, as you described Mitch's hand from the outset, it was a slow hand. It didn't punish this stumbling that Jack had.
So I assume Mitch would like to go for the Bruiser Dragon here to keep getting in.
There's another dragon.
I call it Bruiser Dragon, the Bellowing Bruiser, the Bruiser Horse, if you will.
You have a knack of just calling things by things that they are not. So
Oh, listen, it's a guilty habit of mine. I love it.
mildly confusing here, but we're fighting our way through it. Yeah, so he has the 4/4 haste. What else is he holding right now?
He did
Oh yeah,
draw a Grabby Giant. Looks like he's going to slap down the Doomscar here. I'm not sure if I love this play here.
is he just getting rid of the 3/2 and making a little oh, huh.
He's going to Belling Bruiser to get in here
I
for
mean, I guess
2
it
and go.
draws a card.
Yeah. I mean, he saw 2 lands. He now has access to a swamps. Okay.
Another prophetic prism off the top here for Jack. He's got a bunch of things. He's limited by the amount of mana he has, obviously. Still has that spell scorn coven.
Holding on to it.
The scavenger guide. He has Obira's attendance, which is the adventure, the 3/4 flyer with adventure, and a disdainful stroke.
So he could look out for, I guess, a good trade. I mean,
Well, he sees a 4/4. He sees a 4/4 haste. He's probably wanting to hold up his disdainful stroke here because he's already in a bit of a rough spot. I mean, he can block both of Mitch's creatures, but if there's more big stuff to come, this could be trouble. So that's why I hold up the disdainful stroke and counter whatever big thing ends up coming, whether it's the 4/4 or something else.
yeah, I wouldn't blame Mitch for running directly into this because it almost looks like your opponent used up most of their mana for the turn, right?
More or less. I mean, he doesn't know the contents of his hand, so there's a blue mana open. Whenever your opponent has 2 mana open and any of one or both of them are blue, blue
I
plays at
think
instant speed the best. Good chance
it looks like he's
he can
mulling.
interact in some way.
I believe he's thinking the decision over. He's flicking over the card. I'm pretty sure Mitch has said he's thinking to himself, could my opponent have a counter for 2, like Spell Stutter or Disdainful Stroke? Is it worth it? Or do I just play out, the 3 Bowls of Porridge or something like that? Which I think I like that route a little
Would he be
better.
like flicking his cards if he was playing in paper right now?
Oh, 100%.
While thinking?
I mean, I have a strong feeling he's just going to play out the Bruiser here.
Looks like he's going to cast a spell.
Yeah. He's going to play the treasure side of the Grabby Giant.
Just for damage.
Well, he's going to go for the Grabby Giant first. I like this. Show your opponent something. Do you wish to counter it?
I feel like he has to, even though he knows there's a 4/4 coming.
Yeah.
Thing is, he has the -4/-0 in hand, so he can block that 4/4 perhaps.
The question is how do you proceed with this attack then? Do you
I
still want to
mean,
slam your Doomscar in, even though it has the highest upside right now?
you could attack with the Doomscar. You get to look at what, 2 cards. You get to look at 2 cards, even if it trades.
Yeah.
Potentially draw something. Well, here's a Fonzbane Troll.
Now that is going to hurt a bit. I assume that's coming directly at the Doomscar.
Is it though? Oh, he's gonna play a spell Scorn Coven. He can discard
It's
the
going to get
last
a
card.
mountain.
Yeah, there's always value to seeing your opponent's last card, and he's kind of set up okay. I think the Fonzbane Troll has to fight the catapult. Honestly, he's just gonna die to it.
Yeah, what does Mitch really have to do this turn? Play the Bruiser, still have Porridge up. I guess you swing with the Bruiser this turn.
Yeah, the -4/-0 can stop that, but the porridge can keep the 4/4 alive. So
Well, if he triple blocks,
yeah,
the 4/4 would die.
Triple block will work.
So he's going to go for just tapping down a creature this turn.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting. I feel like you want to save the tap ability, especially like when your opponent's at 9. But I guess Mitch has an idea. He does have a Bloodfell Caves in hand, but I don't really think that does anything for him.
I think. Oh, interesting. The storm the Vanguard, the former 6/7, it got shrunk down, but it still has its ability that it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2.
Oh, that's interesting.
2 or less. So Jack immediately took his Scarecrow Guide and tried to drag it over to block the the Vanguard, but curse tokens do not remove abilities, which is actually one of the reasons why they just haven't been that impressive. Like when I first read Curse Rolls, I'm like, oh, you shrink stuff? Like that sounds good, and it just turns out it's not that great. But here it did its job on the 6/7, but it still has that evasion, so you can't just put a 1/3 or a 2/1 in front of it. You got to put a real creature, the 3/2. I think these are his best blocks. So he double blocks, and then he gets the Doomscar here with his Obeer's Attendants and takes 4.
That's kind of brutal right there. Kind of brutal.
And then he gets to untap with the Fonzbane Troll, and he gets to get rid of that Catapult, which is a constant source of damage here.
Yeah, at 5, it's definitely Catapult. At 10, I might consider.
He's also got a Bitter Chill, so that can lock down the next threat that comes.
I guess he could just Bitter Chill the 4/4, right? And then leave Mitch off the top of the deck.
Well, he doesn't have the mana to do that right now.
Interesting, yeah.
And the 4/4 is probably just going to attack and trade for the... we'll see if Mitch decides to attack.
I almost feel like he wants to regardless.
It's like Jack's getting a little frisky here. Maybe just sending 1 creature, not 2.
He gets a little lucky. Mitch top decks a mountain. He's talking to us. Wow.
Okay. I guess he didn't see some of the future matches earlier tonight where people were drawing way more lands than even he has right now. But yes, this is an absurd amount.
Yeah, when you look at your opponent, though, you see your opponent stopped at 5. They pretty much emptied their hand while you're pretty much at double the land. It does feel a little bad.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there, but we've all been on the other side, too. So we keep
Correct.
playing the game. We keep playing the game, even though we know it's part of it. We just hope it never happens and complain when it does, even though we know. Looks like he's tapping all his mana as a display of something or other. Yeah, so now he can just replay his Horseman. He has a 3/4 on Adventure as well. And he has a Tangled Colony in hand. That's the 3/2 that can't block. So he's just going to play a bunch of creatures. And unless Mitch can find some surprise face damage here.
Mitch would need Jack. Mitch would need Jack to get complacent and only leave up 1 blocker and to get a 4/4 haster. Because he has Tandem Takedown in hand.
Yeah.
But Jack is not falling for it.
Well, he has him dead next turn. You know, he has him attack all kills next turn, so
Yeah.
he doesn't need to. He just says, "Let me make sure I don't die. I don't have life gain. Let me just play a bunch of stuff. Play this." So,
Can Mitch draw anything to get out of this?
I mean,
Now that is rough.
yeah. So he just plays everything. He has back 2 blockers still. All right, take down, kill the flyers. So
It's not going to do it. The Daredevil is just, it's, I mean, the power is there, but there's no way to get that damage across. So it's going to be Jack on game 2.
yeah, so we see this Sultai. We saw Adam running a nice Sultai deck to great success, and Jack obviously whatever he's doing so far is working for him. So this Sultai deck is working nicely here. Uh, he has Talion the Kindly Lord. That's the blue black mythic. And his curve is pretty low. He has 2 Obir's Attendants on 5, and then the big 6/5 Gatekeeper is the blue card at 6, and everything else is 4 and under. So he's really keeping it nice and compact here with lots of interaction, card draw, a little bit of ramp. Basically, the classic Sultai deck, right? Just play good stuff, have all bases covered, and grind out the win and outlast whatever your opponent's trying to do.
I mean, it's interesting to think that game could have just been over if Jack didn't top deck the green on 3 after the Scarecrow got him 2. Like that really changed everything about that game for Jack.
That Scarecrow
because Mitch was definitely coming with the aggro.
Yeah, that killing the Scarecrow was almost a game-losing play, and then he drew the Forest and was able to actually cast his spells, even though it was a little stunted at first, a little stumbling, but he drew some extra cards. He found his way out of it. He found his good cards, and he has an okay looking hand here. It's a 5-lander, so you need you always keep those with a bit of
hesitancy.
Yeah, and he's drawn another land. So his spells are Fairy Fencing, the X and a black -X/-X, and a Sweet Tooth Witch. So he'll have something to do on 3. But
I mean, Mitch could be coming with heat if Mitch can draw the land. So we have one more mountain, a Decadent Dragon, Cosmic Hunger, the Werefox, and then everyone's favorite limited card of the season, the Gruff Triplets.
Oh, Gruff Triplets. We like that.
Now he just needs 2 more forests to get there, though, since he has the red-black land and the red land.
Jack's current hand is exactly the same as his starting hand, which is 5 lands, a Fairy Fencing, and a Sweet Tooth Witch. Yeah.
It's looking like Mitch might go in looking for some green.
He's doing this now because Jack scryed one on top with the grotto.
That's also fair.
So he got the stopgap that he kept on top, and what's the other card he nabbed there?
An island.
Okay, so a land. Nice draw here. So the Decadent Dragon swiped 2 cards off the top of Jack's deck, but a Greta was waiting underneath, so it's a nice one.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no current good way to deal with the Greta. I mean, granted, it's just 1+1 counter, or 1 card it'll draw.
Yeah, he does have a Sweet Tooth Witch, which will produce a second food, so that's not nothing. And he's drawn an Obira's Attendants, so he's going to have to probably fire the Fairy Fencing at the Decadent Dragon, perhaps next turn, for -4, because he obviously can't take too many hits from that one.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch does have Cosmic Hunger, I guess, to deal with one of these 2.
I could see Jack just putting the counter on Greta and attacking.
I could see that.
Nope, he says I'm saving these. I feel like that would have probably been an okay play here. I mean, he has the kill on the dragon next turn, so he'll take 4, but his life total is otherwise not under siege yet. So attacking a food.
Now, interestingly enough, okay, if Mitch doesn't tap out of his green, which is kind of difficult because his whole hand is green, he could absolutely host the Fairy Fencing with the Werefox.
Oh, the adventure creature.
Yeah, give a creature +1/+1 in the monster trait.
Yeah. So
I almost forgot this dragon also makes treasure, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, the whole design is you make it because the dragon says you can cast the spells at exiles off the adventure, but it doesn't say you can use mana as if it was any color. So that's what the treasures are for. The treasures lets you cast off color stuff that your opponent has that don't share a color with you.
So what is Mitch going to do this turn? He's flicking over the stopgap, but I don't really think you want to bounce either of those targets.
Not particularly. I mean, maybe just to set Jack behind now that the dragon is online and attacking him. So, but doesn't seem like the ideal play here.
It's looking like he
I have
might
found this
go
to be
for
one
it.
of I have found this to be like one of the poorer sets for bounce spells, just because a lot of creatures, as we see on Jack's side, have ETBs or have adventures, which are pretty similar. There's just not that many cards you want to reset with a bounce spell, which is also why the 4 mana instant put a creature on top or bottom, which has been pretty okay in the past, is just a card that has not performed well at all.
See, I can see why Mitch wanted to do that, but I'm
Yeah.
not. So if I was going to use my mana, right? Why not Cosmic Hunger and then save up the ports, deal with the 3/2?
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to draw a card to just keep the cards flowing, but I think this worked
I
out
think he
okay for
wanted to
Jack.
land.
I
I
can't
think
see
he wanted to
Jack.
land for Gruff
Yeah,
Triplets.
I can't see Jack being upset that he that he bounced the Greta. I mean, obviously it's annoying, but yeah, this Gruff Triplets might there's no imminent answer here. We have Obira's Attendance, which could shrink down a Gruff Triplet in combat, negating it putting counters when it dies. So
Huh.
also, he does have Diminisher Witch, so he could turn one of the Gruff Triplets into a 1/1 if it does come down. So he has some answers, and he's drawn a Fawn's Bane Troll, which actually exiles the creature that it fights. So if those scary 3/3s come down, Jack does have some stuff he can do.
Well, they'll be coming down next turn. So Mitch is saving up the grabby giant
yeah.
on the treasure side to get that extra forest in there.
So yeah, so Jack can actually kind of semi cleanly answer two of them here. Well, making one into a 1/1 and exiling the other with a Fawn's Bane Troll.
Now, interestingly enough, after he makes one into a 1/1, Mitch does have spider food to get rid of the roll.
Okay, but I mean, we'll see. But uh, I mean, obviously, it's like one of the worst things you could be facing down. But he actually does have tools to at least try and fight through it. No, not saying that it's going to work because that card, it's just absurd. Should absolutely have been a mythic. No idea why
Yeah,
how it got passed. Approved to be just a
R&D.
commoner.
I feel like Mitch wants to toss down the Gruff triplets, but he's wary that there could be another stroke again.
Yeah, could be. I mean, could even be spell stutter as well.
Yeah.
Probably most people who are main blue are going to be running their spell stutters at least in the first couple weeks. Like if you're blue, you're just playing every copy of it for the first probably half of the league or so.
Yeah, Mitch's hand is a
Yeah.
little expensive here. I mean, yeah, we have the Werefox. We just got Welcome to Sweet Tooth. The Rager from Mom, the
Phyrexia
Stormclaw
Ranger?
Rager.
Oh, what is it? Which one's
It's
that?
the red black one for 3 that you can, I believe it's pay 1, sacrifice a creature at sorcery
Oh,
speed.
draw a card.
Draw 1. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was one of the formats where the black red sack deck was not like broken. Normally the black red sack deck just is one of the better decks. Mom, it was just the other stuff going on around it was a bit more powerful. It was playable though.
Ooh, we're gonna go for the Cosmic Hungry here and just get rid of the
Oh,
2 lands.
that's not gonna work because he's got the cosmic hunger here. He's got
That
the Obira's attendance. Now he can bump that off.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that because now it doesn't like Gruff Triplets coming down anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, Jack doesn't know that, but
Yeah, but I mean Mitch does. So for him to use the treasures and he just drew Glissa, that must feel
Oh,
terrible.
the 5 mana Glissa, the one
Yes,
that's
from
just it incubates and then it flips them for free, and yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so this lack of mana, and I mean, Mitch had to draw one of those lands off of Jack's deck. So
Yeah.
Diminisher Witch, actually, funnily enough, I don't know if you can put a curse on your own creature, but if you could, he could put another aura on the Fawnsbane and then then use it again. Uh,
I think looks like Jack's looking at that right now. He was flicking over the troll.
I mean, he could also just make opponent's creature into a 1/1.
Is that the play?
You have to do it to an opponent's creature.
Okay.
But he's got another Obira's Attendants, so this is going to blow out Mitch's blocks, and it's going to set him really far back down.
Yes. I mean, from drawing too many lands last game and not hitting enough lands this game, and then, trying to play around your opponent's counter spells has just got to be pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's just like, just get me my 6th or 7th land on time, and then no more lands. That's kind of like what we want here. Yeah, so he shows the Glissa, and then he gonna pack it in here. Just too much mana issues this game. Unfortunate for our friend Mitch. So congratulations to Jack on the win, continuing a hot start to the league. And we'll be back next week for some more feature matches. Thanks, everyone.